Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Uswatun Khasanah. You can call me Uswatun. My student ID is 19250391 and I am a second semester student in the Information System Study Program, kelas 19 2B35. I created this podcast as a remedial assignment for the English 1 course from the first semester, in order to improve my grade in that subject. In this episode, I will discuss 4 pre-selected topics, and I am also joined by a guest who will accompany me throughout the discussion. Let's get started right away with the first topic. Hello everyone! Welcome to the first episode of our podcast. I'm Uswatun Khasanah, or you can just call me Uswatun, and I'll be your host for this podcast. So, for this first episode, I'm not alone. I have a special guest that I invited to chat with today. Alright, let's get started. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hi everyone, I'm Salva Meza Putri, but you can call me Salva. I'm really happy to be invited as a guest on the first episode of this podcast.
Wow, thank you so much for taking the time to talk today.
No worries, I'm excited too because I think this topic is really interesting.
Right, so today's topic is about something we actually see very often around campuses, smoking in campus areas.
Wow, this is interesting. I often see this too whenever I have business around campus or just pass by.
Perfect timing then, because our chat today is going to cover this from different point of view. So, generally speaking, about campuses in Indonesia, we always run into people smoking at the canteen, the parking lot, even something near the classroom buildings.
Exactly. Even though campus is supposed to be a place to study, with lots of people gathering in different conditions. Some have asthma, some are just sensitive to cigarette smoke.
Totally right. And the term for that is secondhand smoke, where even non-smokers get affected if they are often exposed to other people's smoke.
Yeah, and actually, from what I've noticed, a lot of campus in Indonesia already have rules about smoke-free zones. But again, it really depends. The practice is different from one campus to another.
Agree. Some are really strict, but for others the rules is just a formality. In reality, people still smoke casually anywhere. What do you think from what you've seen at campuses in general?
From what I've observed, on average, it's still pretty loose. There are smoking areas in some places, but there are still a lot of people smoking outside of this area, like near the entrance or along the campus route.
Right. And it also makes people who actually have no interest in smoking end up effective too, even though they are just passing by.
Totally, I've experienced in myself a few times. It be walking casually and suddenly get hit by smoke from someone smoking on the roadside.
So, if I may share a personal opinion, I feel campuses really need to be stricter about smoking rules.
What's the reason for that?
First, it's about shared house. Campus is a public space used by everyone. People have the right to smoke, but other people's right to breathe in air matters just as much, right?
Right? So it's not about banning it completely, but more about regulating where and when it's allowed.
Absolutely right. Second is about the comfort of the learning environment. If there's smoke in every corner, it can really disturb comfort, especially for people with breathing issues.
I agree with that. Whenever I have business on campus and suddenly get hit by someone's cigarette smoke, I feel pretty uncomfortable.
And that, I think this is about culture. If even the campus environment doesn't enforce its rules consistently, how are students supposed to learn discipline together?
Right? That also reflects how an institution runs its own rules, not just about smoking, but about overall consistency.
That's a great point. So this isn't just about physical health, but also about how a campus builds a culture of order.
I agree with your points, but let me also offer a different perspective from the view of someone who often sees the situation from the outside.
Of course, that's what makes discussion fun.
So here's the things. I think a total ban is sometimes unrealistic because it's banned too harshly, people will just smoke secretly in places that are actually less safe, like in the bedroom or narrow alleys.
Hmm, that's not sense too. That could become a no problem, even harder to monitor.
That's why I think a better solution is about banning, but providing a clear and proper smoking area at every campus. So people right to smoke still exists, but it don't bother others.
I totally agree with that. So this can become a win-win solution instead of a hairspan, but well-managed regulation.
Right? And maybe there also needs to be more widespread outrage about why the rules matters, so people understand instead of just being told, oh no.
I think this thread is really important because sometimes people who smoke carelessly aren't doing it on purpose to disturb others. They just don't realize the impact on others.
Agreed. So the approach has to go both ways, clear rules, but also education running alongside it.
Okay, so to sum up, what do we both think are the most reasonable solutions for campus in Indonesia?
First, providing a designated smoking area located far from crowds.
Second, consistent sanctions for people who smoke carelessly, not just warnings.
Third, education about the dangers of smoking, not just for smokers, but also its impacts on people around them.
Fourth, I think there also needs to be more routine monitoring, so it's not just written rules but actual checks happening on the ground.
Agreed. Because it's pointless if that rule is good but there's no one monitoring its implementation.
This summary turned out really good. So basically, it's not about judging people who smoke, but about who we can coexist in public spaces while respecting each other.
Totally agree. What matters most is understanding each other's needs, both smokers and not smokers.
Okay, so that was our chat for this first episode. Our issue of smoking in campus areas. Thank you so much for being our guest today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me too. This was such a fun conversation. I got a lot of new insight from it too.
For those of you listening, what do you think? Do you agree campuses should be stricter about smoking rules or do you think this a personal matter that shouldn't be regulated too much? Share your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next episode. Bye!
Bye.
Okay, moving on to the second topic. For this one, I have a different guest from before. Let's get to know them with our listeners.
Hi everyone, I'm Hayuvi Silmi, but you can call me Silmi. I'm really happy to be invited as a guest on this podcast.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk today.
No worries, I'm curious to talk about this too. Discussions about the police institution in Indonesia come up pretty often in society.
Right. So our second topic is about opinions on the police institution in Indonesia. This is a slightly more sensitive topic since it concerns an institution with a really important role in society.
Wow, this is interesting, but we do need to be careful how we discuss it.
Agreed. So let's try to discuss this in balanced way, where a positive side and also criticism that often comes up from the public. The goal isn't to base it or praise it as a feel, but more of an objective reflection.
Totally agree because a topic like this, if we are not careful, can make us only see it from one side.
If you look at the positive side first, the police have a really important role in maintaining security and public order every day. From directed traffic handling criminal cases to community activities.
That's true. I personally experienced being helped by police during an accident on the road. The response was pretty quick that time. They immediately directed traffic so it wouldn't jam and helped the victims.
That's a great example. And there are also a lot of police programs close to the community, like weapon game much with wells at the village level, or education program about digital security crime prevention.
True. And if you look at some regions, there are also police who are really active helping the community during natural disasters or other social activities like distributing food supplies or helping with evacuation.
Right. And in big cities, there are often programs like Police Friends of Children, or outreach to school about the dangers of direct and traffic discipline from an early age.
I also remember that I was in school. There was one police officer who came to give a talk about road safety. That program was pretty routine and beneficial, I think.
This one form of contribution that I think often gets overlooked, because usually what gets reported more is the negative side.
Yeah, that's true. Even though there are a lot of police members who work well and with dedication, they just don't get much media coverage.
But on the other hand, we also can close our eyes to the criticism that often comes up from societies toward the police institution.
Right. One of the most commonly discussed things is illegal fees or bribery, especially related to traffic violations. Many people have their own experiences or stories about this, whether personal or from others.
True. This also makes some people feel less than fully trusting. Then there are also the issue of case handling that's considered slow or lacking transparency in certain cases, especially cases involving influences people.
Yeah, and sometimes there are also attention on certain rogue individuals who behave against the code of ethics, which ends up affecting the whole institution's image.
It's also important to note that this is usually about a few bad individuals, not necessarily representing to the whole institution, but is understandable. People become more critical about this, especially if the incident goes viral or gets public attention on social media.
Right, exactly. Now it's the age of social media, so one incident alone can go viral really fast and immediately influence public perception of the whole institution.
Yeah, and I think that's the challenge in itself for the police institution, how to maintain its image in the fast-paced digital era. One viral video alone can immediately become a nationwide talking point.
True, and usually it's the negative stuff that goes viral. Rarely does anything positive go viral at the same scale.
That's also an interesting phenomenon. how social media spread negative things more easily compared to positive things.
There's also something else worth discussing about the response in handling public reports. Sometimes there are complaints about taking too long to follow up on or the process being unclear.
Yeah, there's also often a complaint, especially for cases that the public things are already clear-cut, but the process feels way too slow.
In your opinion, what actually needs to be improved about our police institutions?
I think transparency is a key point. If there are cases involving an individual, there needs to be a clear and open process to the public, so people can see there's a serious action being taken, not just empty promises.
I agree. And I also think there needs to be improved internal supervision so bad actors can be caught and dealt with more quickly before becoming a bigger problem.
Yeah, and I also feel communication with the public is important. For example, through social media or accessible complaint channels. So, people can more easily share complaints or appreciation.
True. And if there's consistent improvement over time, public trust can also recover and grow. This is a long-term process. It can't happen instantly.
Agree. And I think public education is also important. So people understand the rights and obligations when dealing with the police. So they don't easily fall for wrong information either.
Yeah, sometimes the public also doesn't fully understand the correct procedures, so they end up misunderstanding before knowing the actual process.
And one more thing I think is important appreciation for dedicated officer also needs to be highlighted more often. So it motivates others to also wear well.
Totally agree, because if only the negative gets highlighted all the time, the ones working well end up less motivated too. If I may ask, have you personally ever had an experience with the police, either positive or negative?
I have actually there was once a checkpoint on the road and the process was pretty early and polite I think. But I've also heard stories from friends whose experiences were so pleasant. So I think it really varies depending on the individual and their situation.
Same here. I've had good experiences and also some less satisfying ones. That's why I think it's hard to generalize the police as good or bad overall.
Agree, because this institution has thousands, even millions of people with different characters. So I think what matters is that the system keeps getting improved, so the quality of service can become more consistent.
That's a great point. So it's not about judging individuals, but how the whole system can keep improving.
Right, and I think the public also has a role in this. For example, by actively reporting when something not right. So there's a two-way control mechanism working.
Agree, because change usually needs collaboration from various parties, not just from the institution itself.
So to sum up, we both think the police play a very important role in society and have made a lot of positive contribution. But on the other hand, there are also challenges and criticism that need continuous improvement, especially around transparency and internal supervision.
Totally agree. The point isn't to generalize all officers as bad, but how this institution can keep improving so it becomes more trusted by the public.
So that was our second topic about opinions on the police institution in Indonesia. Let's move on to the next topic.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Okay, moving on to the other topic. For this one, I have a new guest again. Let's get to know them with our listeners.
Hi everyone, I'm Agustina Vitasari, Putu Kami Agustia.
I'm really happy to be invited as a guest on this podcast.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk today.
No worries. I'm really excited because this topic is related to a lot of people, especially those still at college or who choose graduate.
Right. So, other topic is about plans after graduating college. I think this topic is really close to student life, especially for those already thinking about the future.
Especially, this is a topic I think is important to talk about early on, not just right before graduating.
Totally agree. But honestly, this is also a topic that's really personal for me because I'm still in the process of thinking about this myself. We'll talk more about it later.
Wow, that's interesting. So we can start with each other later too. Before we go deeper, might share a bit what semester are you in right now?
I'm in my second semester now, so I'm still pretty new to college life. That's why this topic interests me because I'm also in the process of thinking about what's ahead.
Perfect. Timing 10. So our chat can really relate in listeners who might be in the same position as you. Alright, let's start the conversations.
So, generally speaking about college graduates, there are usually a few paths people take. Some go straight to well, some continue to a master degree, some choose to start their own business.
Right. And I think everyone has their own considers depending on their situation and interest. None of those choice in more correct than the others.
But sometimes I see a lot of students confused about what to do after graduating, especially if they didn't get to explore much during college.
Yeah, it is also a pretty common phenomenon. A lot of people only start seriously thinking about their career close to graduation when it really is solved been touched about since the early semesters.
That's exactly it. That's why it's so important to start exploring your interests now, so that by graduation you already have a clearer picture.
Agreed, I think organizational express, internship, or a part-time work are also really important for giving a picture of the really working world.
Yeah, that's also become a foundation so you'll not get off guard when entering the actual working world. And I think nowadays there is also a lot of accessible information sources like webinars, career seminar, or even social media content about the working world.
Right. So actually, there is already a lot of information available. It's just about how protective students are in finding and using it all.
In your opinion, what usually makes students lazy or less proactive about exploring this from the start?
I think one reason is they still feel like there's plenty of time, so they take it easy for now. With actually college time really could be fast as you are living dirt in.
True, and maybe also because there's no urgency for it, so I feel like I'll think about it later.
Agree, that's why I think it's really important to have a rest war from the start, not the daily this expression. How about do you already have an idea of what you want to do every after graduation?
Honestly, I'm still confused up to now. I don't have a fixed plan yet about which direction to go.
It's okay. That's totally normal. A lot of people this early semester like you haven't figured out what they want to do year either.
Yeah, especially since I'm only in my second semester, so I feel like I still have time to explore more. But something I ever thinking it too, if it I fell behind if I don't start thinking about it now.
That's totally human. I think in the early semester like you are in No, actually the right time to explore. There's lots of time first. No need to rest decision on one facet discretion.
Yeah, that's why right now I'm trying to just observe more, see where my actual interests link toward, while trying out some activities on campus.
That's a great step. Try all different time first and eventually you'll fit the discussion that suits you best.
Hopefully so. But honestly, so far I'm still in the process of figuring it out. No big decision yet. Sometimes I feel confused seeing friends who already have clear plans. It makes me feel like I'm falling behind.
I totally understand that feeling, but I think it's important to remember everyone's process is different. Some people know from the start where they are headed, but a lot of people find their decision later even after graduating.
Yeah, that also makes me feel a bit more at ease. So, no need to rush too much. As long as I keep moving forward and keep exploring.
Totally agree. What matters is that you stay open to know opportunities that come up. Well, no, maybe from that you'll find a passion that fits.
How about you? Like when you were in college, did, did you already have a clear picture? Or were you also feeling your way through it like me?
Honestly, I was really confused back the two. I've even changed my mind several times about which discussion to but yeah, from the trial error process, I eventually found what suits me best.
Wow, that's a relief to hear. So, it really is normal to go through a process like this.
Yeah, so don't be too hard on yourself if you have found the definite answer yet.
But, firstly, I also have a few worries about the future after graduating. In your opinion, what things usually very student about to graduate?
I think one of the most common ones is the increasingly tight job competition. There are more and more graduates now, but job openings are always keeping pace.
Right, that's also one of my worries. Then there's also the worry about matching your major with the job you end up getting, since not everyone can immediately well in their field of study.
Agreed. That also a pretty common phenomenon. A lot of graduates end up working in field different from their college major.
Do you think that's a problem, or is it actually normal?
I think it's totally fine as long as the person the relevant skill and willing to keep learning. So the flexible really matters. You don't have to be right about sticking to your major.
Totally agree. I think soft skill and the willingness to keep growing matter more than just being linear with your major.
Yeah, and I think also it's important to have a mindset ready to face failure or rejection because the process of job hunting or have starting small time in always motive.
Totally right. That's also part of the process you have to go through. I think about this to something that when it's time to look for a job or decide on a direction, the process will turn out really tough.
It's normal. I think about that, but I think as long as you keep reading and I think that's already the right step. No predict the future and 100%. What matters is the way are ready to adapt.
Is there anything else you think or other students often worry about?
I think a lot of people also worry about family aspirations. Some sisters are pressure to work in a certain field or get an income right after graduating. Even though the process is then easy.
Oh yeah, that's really relatable too. Sometimes all that expectation can become a burden of their own.
True, that's why good competition with family is also important so they'll understand the process you are going through. If do you have my advice for other students who might still be confused about their plan after graduation, regretting things like yourself right now?
I think it's important to start exploring now. Don't wait until right before graduation to start thinking. Try lots of things, join organization, internship, or explore hobbies that might develop into a career.
Agreed. And I also think a lot of networking is important. Getting to know people in field you are interested in so you get a more real picture of that working world.
Right. And don't be afraid to try new things too. Because sometimes interest is only fun when we try something outside the original plan.
Totally agree. And most importantly, and thing, don't compare yourself to others. Everyone has their own path and their own timing.
That's a really important point for me personally. Because there's a lot of social pressure now to quickly have a clear plan. When everyone's process is different.
Yeah, what matters is we keep trying and stay consistent. The result will follow over time. No need to rush that what matters in you is you keep moving forward.
Any practical tips for starting this exploration? Like small steps that can be can be tried starting now.
I think you can start with something simple, like joining a community or student club on campus that matches your interests. There three an internship, even if it's short, or take an online course to gain new skills from there. You will essentially get a clear idea of what fits and what don't.
Wow, that's really useful advice. Thank you for giving a perspective that makes me feel calmer about this.
You are welcome. Hopefully, you will find the discussion that fits you best.
So, to sum up, plans after graduating college really do vary. Some continue studying, some start their own business, and for those still confused like me, that's also totally normal. What matters is to keep exploring and staying open to new opportunities.
Totally agree. And equally important, be mentally ready to face challenges and not easily feel insecure seeing others people's progress.
So, that was our third topic about plans after graduating college. Thank you so much for sharing your stories and tips today.
You are welcome. This was such and fun conversations.
Let's move on to our last topic. See you!
See you next time.
Okay, now we are moving on to our last topic. And for this one, I have a guest again. Let's get to know them with our listener.
Hi everyone, I'm Icha Novia. You can call me Icha. I'm really happy to be invited as a guest on this podcast.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk today.
No worries, I'm curious to about for this topic this time. Seems pretty personal, right?
Yeah, that's right. This topic is the most personal for me because I'm going to tell the story of why I'm taking this remedial exam. In fact, this very podcast we're making is part of my remedial exam.
Wow, that's interesting. Honestly, I'm really curious too because usually people are a bit reluctant to share something like this openly.
Yeah, but I think it's also good to say. Who knows, someone might be going through something similar and can learn from my story.
Totally agree. Alright, I'm curious. Can you tell it from the beginning?
Sure, let me tell it from the start. So, the story starts from last semester 1. In the English 1 course, the grading system was a bit different from other courses in general. Usually there's a midterm and final exam in written form, but In this course, the midterm and final used a different system.
Oh, interesting. So what was the response system like?
So, assessment and quiz were still there as usual. The difference was only the midterm and final part. For those, the rest was to make a video that had to be uploaded to YouTube.
Wow, that's a pretty unique system. So how many videos were there and what was the format like?
There were two videos that had to be submitted. The first video was to replace the midterm and done individually. The second video was to replace the final and done as a group, where each group consisted of two people.
So same individual, same group, interesting concept too. What do you think is a grading system like this effective compared to regular written exams?
I think there are pros and cons. The effective is we don't just learn English material, but also develop other skills like making content, editing videos, and practicing public speaking on camera. But the downside is a test like this also depends a lot on technical condition. And that's actually the technical issue I ended up experiencing that made me have to tap the remedial.
Right, so if the system is more practical and trains a lot eye skill, there's still a technical problem can come up that affect the result of the text. So how did the process go? What is smooth?
Yeah, I actually finished both videos according to the given requirement. I did the midterm video myself and did the final video together with a friend.
After the videos were done, did you submit them right away?
Yeah, after they were done, I uploaded both videos to YouTube. Then, I submitted the link according to the given deadline.
So back then you felt like everything was done and safe.
Yeah, I felt like everything was in order. The video assessment were done, and the links were submitted according to the requirements. So at the time, I feel everything was safe and there were no problems.
So where was the problem? How did it end and leaving to remedial?
Well, at first I didn't immediately know where the problem was. I only realized there was an issue when the grade for this course came out, and it turned out to be lower than I expected.
So did you try to out the cost?
Yeah, I checked the assignment I submitted again, and it turned out there was a problem with the video link I submit.
What was the problem with the light?
It turned out the YouTube link I submitted couldn't be accessed. So the video that was supposed to be viewable for grading couldn't be opened.
You only found out about the after that grade came out?
Yeah, I only found out after the grade came out. When I submitted it, I actually deliberately set the video so only people with the link could read it. I thought that with that setting, Flasher could still open the video to the link I submitted and there wouldn't be any problem.
Had you used that kind of setting before?
Yeah, I used that kind of setting before and there wasn't problem back then. The video was still accessible through the link, so I figured this time would be the same.
So there was never a problem before when using the setting?
Never. That's why I didn't expect that this time the link wouldn't be accessible.
What lesson did you take away from this incident?
This became an important lesson for me. It's true or technical things like video privacy settings are really important to double check before submitting, especially for assessment based on link or online platforms like this.
Yeah, true. Sometimes small things like that easily slip by.
I also learned that going forward, it's really important to double check every link before submitting to make sure the link can actually be accessed.
Totally agree. Sometimes we're too focused on the text being finished that we forget to make sure the end result is actually accessible.
Yeah, that's what I feel too. So going forward, I won't just focus on finishing the test. but also make sure everything is ready before submitting. So, with this incident, I was given the chance to take a remedial exam, which is very podcast is part of the process. I'm really grateful for the second chance to improve my grade in this course.
You should make the most of this chance to improve your previous grade.
Yeah, that's why this time I being more thorough and making sure of all the technical details. From the video setting, the submitting link, to the requested format, so something like this doesn't happen again.
Hope it goes well for the improvement result.
I mean, thank you so much for the wishes. So, that was the story of why I had to take a remedial exam in this course. Basically, the technical issue with the inaccessible YouTube link was the main cause, and I only realized it after the grade came out.
But from this incident, you learned a lot too, especially about technical carefulness.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, the story can also be a lesson for the listeners, especially those who often wear online tests or online platform tests, to be more careful before submitting.
Thank you for being willing to share such a personal story like this. I'm sure this will be really useful for the listener.
You're welcome. Thank you too for joining me on the last topic. So, this was our last topic on this episode of the podcast.
See you!
So, that's for the four topic we discussed today with my guest. I use thank you to my guest for taking the time to join this podcast discussion. To those of you who listen all the way to the end, thank you very much as well. I hope this podcast serves as a useful reference or spark further discussion for you. With that, I conclude this podcast, which was produced as part of the English 1 Remedial exam. I apologize for any shortcoming in the presentation. Thank you and goodbye.